life, this is my time. Step up, rise up, fight first, bring it on.
Welcome to the next episode of Remus Talks. Well, this one is a little bit different. I'm not talking about a wrestler per se, but not just that. I brought along one of my canine friends. Say hello, Sky. Yes, one of two of my most loyal hounds. And she's the more vicious one. Well, comparatively speaking. Lottie's more patient, Sky's... well, she's got youth on her side. Let's put it like that. But today's episode is different. Why? Because I'm going to be talking about a certain situation inside the company. A situation I may have created because I kept talking about it, but it's a situation that needs to be addressed, whether people want to admit it or not. And that situation is the one that involves the Intercontinental title. Now, I know Kieran's going to spout off afterwards about this, so I'm going to bring up some points that should answer any of your queries, Kieran. First of all, let's talk about the Intercontinental title in other companies, predominantly the WWF, now WWE. It was first introduced in 1979 and has been held with a lot of people. Being held with some of the best of the best. Chris Jericho, Ric Flair, Randy Orton, Edge, the then Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, just to name a few. And even though he was a bit of a joke, let's not forget about one of the longest reigns of the Intercontinental title, the Honky Tonk Man. Now, he may not have been anything special, but boy, could he hold himself on a microphone. Just like I can. Now, it holds a significant place in my heart, because when I first started rewatching the WWE, Miz held the Intercontinental title. The Miz. Arguably one of the best wrestlers that has ever graced the WWE. Why? You just need to watch him and his matches and see what he does. Everything he does has purpose, character. Everything about him is so easy to watch, and I can relate to him on a lot of levels. He's put in more effort than nearly all of the people still currently within WWE, and yet he's still treated like an undercard. How that happens, I don't know. But the title he was holding was the Intercontinental title, and that title was the one that I thought if I could hold any of the titles in WWE, that would be the one that I'd want. It just meant that much back then. Now, with what's happening with Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn, the worth has definitely gone down. But I still have a special place in my heart for the Intercontinental title. So when I heard that SWF has its own, I knew I had to have it. Now granted, the person who held it at the time when I first joined up was Luke Tyler, and I didn't have the experience back then to go in and gain the Intercontinental title. However, I had also heard that because he didn't turn up, he was stripped of it. And it was given to someone else. Who that person was, I don't know. All I know is that when I got my hands on it, it was when I faced the Hood at Lock Park. That was last year. And I won that match. And the Intercontinental title sat on my shoulder. A couple months pass. This was before Apocalypse came around. And Side Splitter made the decision to strip me of the title and give it back to Luke Tyler. Why? Oh, it was for the same reason that Kieran Hayes brought up. I had won it at a fun day. Yeah, the reason that it's not mine is because I had won it at a fun day, not at one of these rare and few between pay-per-views. Pay-per-views. Do you know how stupid that sounds? Let me put it another way. Oh, sorry, Chad Gable. You didn't win the American title because you won that title on a weekly show. Yeah, so we're going to give it back to its previous owner, who is now Apollo Crews. And that'll be that. Yeah, sorry, you're going to have to wait until Backlash or WrestleMania or any of the other pay-per-views to be able to get that title for yourself, even though he had won that title and he had proven himself to that point. Do you know how stupid that sounds? It is so stupid. He was the Intercontinental Champion. I defeated the Intercontinental Champion for his belt. And let's not forget, it wasn't just his belt on the line. My belt was on the line as well. My Sheffield title. If he won, I would have lost my Sheffield title. So there was a lot more at stake. What? And I was supposed to be happy later on down the line if Lawrence had turned around and said, "Here you go, mate. Here's your title back because you lost it at a fun day." Do you know how stupid that sounds? Do you know how disrespectful it is to a title of that caliber is? I'll tell you now, it's as disrespectful as it gets. That just basically means we don't really care about the titles around here. Do whatever you want with them. And Kieran, you brought up an interesting point. You had won the world title at one of these fun days. And you argued that if you couldn't keep the world title, then why should I keep the Intercontinental title? You know what? You should have kept the world title. Because you had to have beaten whoever held it at that point. Somebody was stripped of it because they were proven unworthy of its time. So they had to give it to someone who was worthy of it, who could hold it and treat it like the championship that it was supposed to be. The Intercontinental title is one of the biggest deals in wrestling that there ever is. Some cases have even made it highlighted that it is far superior to that of any world title of any company. That's how much it means. Because it doesn't just mean that you are a regional champion, you are a champion of multiple countries. For me, that would be the UK, that would be my stint in France, and that would be my stints in Cyprus. Because I have been to different countries, and I have stayed in different countries, and that's what made me eligible for that title in the first place. So for you to turn around and say, well, I can't have the world title because I won it at a fun day, even though it's not our pay-per-view, quote unquote, it's a stupid argument. You know what? You should have fought just as much as I am fighting for it, for the world title. In fact, I would have fought for it as much if it was the world title that was in my grasp, not the Intercontinental. And I have more respect for the Intercontinental title. You know what? In your hands, Kieran, it's far better than it was in Luke Tyler's and in Crisis's. Because all I know is that Luke Tyler got the title back just to lose it to Crisis, who then lost it not so long after to you. And you've been pretty successful with it so far, defending it against people like Psychosis. So yeah, that's my stance on it. I never lost that title. It was taken away from me just because a guy was coming back. This wasn't because I had done any bad conduct. I wasn't even allowed to defend it. because we had a stint where we didn't have any shows for me to defend it at, and I wasn't allowed to defend it. No, I had to defend my Sheffield title. You know what? I would have happily defended both on the same day, in the same or a separate match. That's how much I would put myself on the line. And the society would think that I'd be reckless. You know what? You're damn right I would be. I don't go in with logic every single time, especially when I'm this passionate about something. And even my worst enemies can agree with me on this. Except for you, Kieran, because it's just so convenient for you to use the argument of you claiming the world title and then having lost it. It's so convenient for you to use that when you are the Intercontinental title yourself. You have it yourself. Because what I'm doing every time I mention that I am the uncrowned Intercontinental Champion is slapping you in the face with that fact. And you don't want it to be so, but deep down you know it is. I have more respect for that title than you could ever have imagined. And if it was still on my shoulders, I may not have even had the Sheffield title. I might have been the Intercontinental and Cruiserweight champion. But I have what I have. And whilst the Sheffield Championship is not my first choice, it was definitely a title that I have now made relevant, and I could have done that with the Intercontinental title, but I was never given the chance to. I would have been somewhat of a Miz in your company, Lawrence. But because of who I am and my behaviour, and the fact that I don't side with you whatsoever, nor do I have respect for you and your friends and your family and your loved ones, and even that stupid dog that you have wandering around all the time. Because, newsflash, mine are better than yours. Yeah, it's a childish argument, but so what? I don't see your dogs willing to go and rip somebody's arm off, but mine would. That's why I will always be the uncrowned Intercontinental Champion, and if I ever had the opportunity to take it for myself, I would take it. But if I ever felt there was somebody more worthy of it, oh, you know I'd give them the chance and the opportunity to take it. That'll be all for today. Any more, and I'll just be really angry. So leave a like, share, and subscribe, and click down below on the bell icon to stay up to date with all future videos. And click up here so you can vote on which wrestler I should talk about next. This has been Remus Talks, and I'll see you all in the next one.